Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another issue of Hops Geek News, a pop culture slash comic book slash beer podcast where we talk about everything from comic books to movies to TV shows to delicious beer that we enjoy to drink on mostly all of our episodes. Today, we are going to be talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. We both saw it. In the meantime, if you found us, great, welcome. If you can't find us again, just search Hops News on all your favorite platforms. We are on everything, including YouTube, including TikTok. Catch us on Instagram. Go to our Twitter. And we also have merch. So if you want to get some sweet merch, we just dropped a couple new logos. So go ahead and catch us on hopsgeeknews.threadless.com. That said, I am Mash, aka Matt. Alongside me is Lauren, aka Hoppy Mommy. And let's get this party started. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a beer you sent me. So it's from SaltFire Brewing Company. I believe you got this on your Utah trip.
I did. Salt Lake
Um,
City.
yeah, it's a West Coast style IPA and it lives up to the name. I mean, it is through and through a West Coast style IPA, nice and clear. Got that nice bitter taste to it. And yeah, I mean, there's really not much to it. It's just a really great West Coast style IPA. I feel bad I didn't save it to share with Ian.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was like, I should have sent it another one to Ian. I have one more in my fridge, but it's not. I think it's just like a regular IPA. It's a called like Base Camp Summer Crush or something like that. I have it sitting in the fridge. So, but their beer is good. I popped into the brewery, and they have a lot of cool artwork along the side of the brewery, things like that.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't get to like sit in the tap room this time, but Salt Lake City is 4 hours away. We're gonna go there again, so I'm sure I'll be popping back into that brewery.
Well, and I like the can art and like you said, the art on the wall. Like they got the little fish, which everybody knows him from, deep down in Nemo when they just keep
Yeah.
swimming, but it's got a little hop rather than a light. So I had actually pulled out some Nemo toys to take a picture with it, but then I used my Shang-Chi toy.
Wise decision. I had a few. I drank Punk as Fuck. That was the one I had by them, and that was wicked good. And there was another one I had by them, but yeah, they make really good beers. Utah beer is pretty delicious. Uh, I'm drinking one that you sent me actually. So funny how that works out. I'm drinking Jester King from Austin, Texas. It is. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Hazy triple IPA with Meridian, Matueka, and Eldorado Cryo hops. It is a 10%. Wow, it doesn't taste like a 10%. And it's really smooth, actually. That's
Yeah, that
interesting.
one was pretty smooth. I'm like listening
Yeah.
to you describe it. I'm like, that sounds delicious. Like I haven't
Like
had it.
it's got some good color and the can's pretty cool. It's just like a series of are you picking up what I'm putting down?
When you
But
have chickens.
I do have chickens and there's 3 chickens, so I'm gonna have to try to get a picture with this can and my chickens probably later on. Um, but it's like I said, doesn't taste like a 10% at all. And I chose this one because we're gonna talk a little bit about the movie Shang-Chi in our review of it, and there's a reason why, which I'm not gonna spoil it right now for anybody who hasn't seen it yet. So did we mess anything up last week?
So there actually was something that I kind of messed up on. I was going to put it in the main part, but so you know how we had talked about how I'm never going to get his name right.
Simu Liu?
Simu Liu had tweeted. So you were correct. He did tweet after he saw Civil War and said, "Hey Marvel, what about an Asian American superhero?" And then in 2018 he tweeted again and said, "Hey Marvel, let's talk hashtag Shang-Chi." So a
Ah,
little
see, I
clarification
thought
there.
he had tweeted earlier on, and then I was like, I saw the tweet and it said 2018. I was like, man, maybe I was wrong. So sweet. That's good to know that we both were right in different ways.
But yeah, they were both before he was actually hired. So there you go.
It's awesome, man. Oh god, I can't wait to talk about this movie. So we're gonna let's roll into what have we read or watched this week. I have watched Titans. What if I've read Batman Catwoman issue number 6, and then of course I saw Shang-Chi, and that's kind of what I did. Titans and What If. Still, I think this was like the best What If episode yet. It was centered around
Interesting.
Doctor Strange. I've been very just kind of like meh about What If personally. It hasn't like
Hmm.
hit the tones to me per se that WandaVision has, and that's fine because it doesn't need to. The artwork was great, but this one, like, really, spoiler alert, 3, 2, 1. Doctor Strange, it's all about him dealing with Christine's death and trying to save her. He goes back, creates like the a separate version of himself, and he basically fights the dark supreme version of himself, and in the end realizes that hey, he messed up because the dark version of himself consumes and he confronts the Watcher, who was like, I'm not going to help you. I can't help you. And so the whole entire that universe just collapses and crumbles into a pocket universe, and it's Christine still dies. And no matter what he did, he kept trying to reverse it, and her death is an absolute on the timeline. And it was pretty soul crushing.
Yeah. I have to say though, I mean, it was interesting and it definitely makes you think, and it was soul crushing, but it was probably my least favorite so far.
Oh,
Maybe because I'm watching these cartoons expecting like a happy-go-lucky, like what if kind of story, not a soul-crushing universe ending story. But I actually forgot about Titans. I didn't watch Titans yet.
I did.
So
It was this episode. It was kind of just a filler episode. There wasn't a whole lot that happens. You get a little bit of backstory that's between like Dick and Barbara. That's about it.
all right, so maybe I'll wait till the next one so I can get something out of it.
Yeah, we'll discuss that in depth then next episode. We'll kind of review the 2 episodes of Titans.
Sounds like a plan. So I did read a little bit of Fastball to Freedom. I should be done with that next week so I can give a proper book review. That was the sequel to the Mound Over Hell, which Gary Morgenstein wrote both of those. We had him on a few months ago. So I finally started book 2. I'll read them for like, I'll read like a chunk of it for a day or two, and then I kind of just stop reading it. So I want to finish that to give a proper review. I am enjoying those books. They are good. But the only other thing I really watched other than Shang-Chi was All Hail the King and Legends on Disney Plus. And I know I posted it on the socials, but All Hail the King, it's like if you don't watch that and you have no clue why you then see Trevor Slattery in Shang-Chi, which isn't really a spoiler because he was at the premiere and everybody kind of knew.
I guess that's right. That's why I'm drinking the Jester King, but I'll dive into more later. Spoiler.
But it pieces that together, so it's like a missing puzzle piece. So if you still haven't seen that, it's less than 10 minutes on Disney Plus. And then just the Legends was literally just clips from Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 3 that show the 10 rings and how they've already been in the MCU. So I'm wondering if they're going to do that for Eternals. They did do it for Black Widow. They've been doing it for all the TV shows. They even did one on Ravagers before What If came out. But as far as Eternals, I will wonder if there's anything they can even.
I'm sure they will, but I'm still not too excited about Eternals. I'll be honest with you. It just doesn't make me want to be like, I'm about to risk it all for this movie.
After seeing the last preview and them really tying in Endgame, and then isn't that Galactus we see like in the sky?
No, it's a Celestial.
Oh, it looked like Galactus.
I mean, who knows? Okay. Maybe it could be, but I'm 99.9% sure that that's a Celestial that's in there.
But seeing the preview in the theater too before Shang-Chi got me excited. So I'm excited.
I think it's gonna be good. Don't get me wrong.
And I have my stack of comics that I kind of I'm just gonna leave these here and I'll read them all in October before we do our Eternals origin episode. So
for sure. I do want to I did hook up with Robin Keeley from Woodland Empire, and I want to shout them out real quick because we made them a carrot cake because they've been on our episode a few times, and they came out with that carrot cake beer and they talked about how much they loved it. So I brought them some beers and a carrot cake that Carrie and I made, and it was really fun. I got to see the canning line, kind of was back there talking with Rob, shooting the shit. And they gave me a 4-pack of their Midnight Radio, which is their latest release out there at Woodland Empire, which I'm going to send you cool. one. And so it's a black IPA. It was wicked good. Carrie and I, we brought one in and we drank it during Shang-Chi. We brought one in and popped it open, and thank God I didn't have like an open thing because I saw it in 4D, so wasn't prepared for that experience. But I just want to say shout out to them real quick. And then we saw some cool. Spirit of Boise was a hot air balloon festival. We parked at the top of a parking garage yesterday and just watched like 30 balloons go up in the sky. It was dope.
That's nice. I watched the University of Miami get their asses kicked.
I did watch college football yesterday. That was exciting.
It's terrible.
And I'm a fool for thinking that game was going to be anything decent, but the Georgia and Clemson game was very good. And so was Penn State and Wisconsin. That was another really good game.
Well, then my alum's FAU, and they were playing the Gators, which I was raised to very much so dislike the Gators. I have friends who went there. Obviously, I don't really hate them, but the Gators are scum. Yeah, exactly. I didn't even see the final score. I was like, I know FAU is going to get their ass whooped, because when I started at FAU, they weren't really like a football school. Howard Schnellenberger, which was the coach at UM in the 80s, had actually just started at FAU. And so, of course, my dad was all excited. But I mean, you got all these schools that don't have these great teams are all of a sudden like playing all these schools that have been around forever. So,
Well, Boise State blew a 21-point lead and lost, so there's that.
oh my gosh. And that game was like, I woke up the next morning. I had texts from friends like after midnight. The game's finally back on because
Yeah,
it's
it
such a
didn't
bad
start
rain
until like
delay.
it started wicked late, like almost 10 o'clock. So
Well, I was in the theater watching Shang-Chi while the game was supposed to be playing, and I could hear the thunder in the movie theater and the rain. So, yeah,
well,
it was
it's a
bad.
shame
But
they ended up canceling it and it didn't actually happen anyway. So
oh, that's the game we're playing. All right. So let's move on to some breaking
all
news.
right, yeah, breaking news. Let's get some breaking news. First things first, Shazam Fury of the Gods has wrapped filming, and that's due to come out in the spring, I believe. Oh man, I can't wait. Super excited for that. Uh, did you ever get into Up? Was that like on your top Pixar movie lists?
It's not on my top list, but I definitely like it.
It is good.
I
I
thought it was
guess.
intense for
Oh, the
a
first
Pixar
like
movie.
5 minutes of that movie just
Yeah,
crushes your soul into pieces, and the kids don't understand what's going on. But as an
not at
adult, you're
all.
just like, oh my God.
Right. I'm like, oh my God, they're at the gynecologist and she's getting terrible news. What the fuck is this?
And then it's like she dies, and you're just like, what the
Right. It just gets worse and worse.
I'm sorry. I thought this was supposed to be about an adventurous house that's up in balloons and a kid and they're going on adventures. Instead, we got our soul crushed. Well, hopefully, the sequel series, Doug Days, that's out now on Disney Plus. Hopefully, that goes a different route. I haven't watched it yet. Kids haven't watched it, but I believe it's about the dog
Oh,
Doug.
it's out already?
It is. It is out.
Oh,
I saw it on there. Kids haven't showed interest in it yet, so we'll just let that one go out until I'm in no rush. I don't care. To be
and
honest with you.
squirrel.
Yeah. Something I am kind of excited for is Paranormal Activity will have a new movie coming out to Paramount Plus this Halloween. I thought the first Paranormal Activity is good, and then they just kept making them and then trying to tie it all together, and it was just like, what is going on? It kind of lost that flair. So I
I've never seen
wonder.
any of them.
Oh, the first one's really good. You should definitely check that out. And then they just kind of get more ridiculous from there on. And I'm not, whatever.
Yeah.
Marvel Comics announced that they have an ongoing Avengers Forever series. It will redefine them as the multiverse's mightiest heroes. That's a new comic series coming out. They also have some new Marvel comic titles coming, such as She-Hulk, Moon Girl, Reckoning War, Devil's Reign, and The Lives of Wolverine.
Ooh.
I feel like Wolverine's like their Batman. It's like their moneymaker, you know? And they just, what do we need an idea out there. What do we do Wolverine again? All right, do it. Because
Yeah. But I feel like Wolverine's better to be thrown into different storylines and whatnot. And it makes more sense that he's lived as long as he has than Batman. But yeah, you could be right.
I don't know. That's just my
I'm
personal
also
opinion.
biased.
We're both biased. But Batman is way overdone, but he's their moneymaker. So speaking of Batman, something I'm excited for because I love playing video games. Gotham Knights and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League are both going to have panels at DC Fandom. I believe they're coming out in November. And Gotham Knights takes place, Bruce Wayne's either dead or gone. And so the Bat family is out there trying to figure out what happened to him. And then Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is the Suicide Squad trying to kill the Justice League. And
It's all in the title.
speaking of fandom, DC Fandom will be out on October 16th. And you're going to be expecting trailers from, Shazam, Black Adam, Flash, Batman. It's looking to be a really good day, especially, for DC fans anyways, until they probably crush our soul again. Who knows?
Suicide Squad wasn't terrible. That was good.
Suicide Squad was dope, but they're just, they've been on a good run lately. Very, very good run lately, I will say. And Jason Momoa just dropped a picture of him in this stealth suit for Aquaman filming. So it looks pretty dope. We'll see. I'm excited. I don't care because there's people excited about this Venom, which has a new trailer and a new poster. Woody's Harrelson changes more than Florida weather. And this, oh my God, I just can't believe that this movie, guys, I'm not excited. This movie looks awful. Awful.
I don't think anybody's I think anybody who's excited about it, and I could be wrong. If you are excited about it, let us know and let us know why.
That are excited.
But I feel like they're excited but they have this low expectation, or they know, after the first one, we kind of know what we're getting into. So it's I'm going in it with very low expectations. I probably will not see it in theater. I'm sure I'll wait for DVD, or if it's simultaneously
if I'm catching
streamed, I'll do that.
COVID, it's not seeing Venom in theaters.
So yeah, it would be an MCU movie. But I don't know. I don't know who's excited.
Somebody, if you are, let us know. I'm not. I also tried watching Jungle Cruise last night, and it was very just kind of bland to me. But apparently, people
good.
like it enough that a sequel's in the works with Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt returning.
Did you pay for it?
Oh God, no! It's I have my ways. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. I forget that you do that.
I have a way of watching these movies legally. It's all legal. Don't you worry. And yeah, it just didn't hold my attention very much. So I'll give it a try to finish it, but I got halfway through and went to bed. So I don't know. But did you ever watch The Rocketeer as a kid?
Oh, hell yeah.
I honestly didn't. But the return of The Rocketeer is in the works for Disney Plus, which will focus on a retired Tuskegee airman who takes up the mantle, and it's going to be produced and potentially starring David Oyelowo. I can't pronounce that. I'm sorry. And yeah, I've actually never seen the first one before.
I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but I remember very much so enjoying it and liking it.
I'll have to watch it.
Definitely watch that. Yeah.
A lot of people are excited about it, and maybe I missed the bus on that one. I don't know. And
I think I was young when it came out, so you were probably just too young and it just kind of faded.
True. Very, very true. I was but a wee lad at that time. There's a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that's going to be released on Netflix, not in theaters anymore, which probably doesn't bode well for that film. I honestly didn't even know that they had a new one coming out. They keep trying to like reboot that series, and they just keep falling on their face. So
I've never seen any of those ones.
Oh man, they're good. Like the Jessica Biel one, pretty good. And then if you watch was it the 1970 something version, pretty good. They were really creepy actually.
Yeah, my husband likes them, but they're like based on somewhat real stuff, right? Like a real person.
Loosely, you know how those go.
I know. I don't like that. I don't know.
It's okay. It takes place in Texas, which, to be honest with you, if that whole state just faded into the sun and blew up,
other than Austin.
I mean, I would love to get to Austin and support them, but I have zero desire to go back to Texas with the shit that they're pulling lately. So lastly, on my news docket there is a new Expendables film in the works with every 90
definitely need
action
that
star, and everybody was dying for it. And they might actually die while filming it because everybody's so freaking old, but
I think that's why they're doing it. They all must have like botched their retirement plans and they're like, we need more money.
We spent all of our money on who knows, and now we have to go out here and do another Expendables
hookers and
movie.
blow. Yep.
I don't know, man, but what kind of news do you got for us before we roll into Shang-Chi?
Clerks 3 has wrapped filming. That's exciting. Obviously very excited about that. Cobra Kai has been picked up for season 5, even though season 4 hasn't even come out.
Nice.
Walt Disney Animation Studios is opening a place in Vancouver, and their first project will allegedly be a Moana series. So I love Moana. Arrowverse crossover this year will be 5 parts, and it will include Batwoman and Mia Queen and more characters. So now that I've given
back?
Oh, no, different Mia Queen, his daughter, not his mom.
Well, that's confusing.
We'll see if you watch the last crossover event and actually finished Arrow, it wouldn't be confusing.
Those CW shows.
Right. So I've completely given up on Supergirl. I never picked up Batwoman or Black Lightning, or there's another one. I don't know. So I don't know how that's going to work now that I'm not watching all these other shows, but I'll still give the crossover a chance. It's just annoying because when you're watching it, like you have to then figure out, oh, okay, Supergirl was the next one. Then you have to go to the Supergirl's
over
thing
now,
on
right?
Netflix. I think this is the last season, because it looked like she was included. Don't quote me on that because I stopped watching it.
They did just finish filming the final season. I think you're right.
But like Netflix needs to fix that. Like when you go to the next episode, like you're skipping 4 episodes if you just go to the next Flash episode or whatever. So you actually have to like Google that and see which one's next. And it's a pain in the ass.
Nobody's watching anyways.
Somebody is. They keep making them. It's like Walking Dead. People are still watching it.
CW will just continue making it till, oh God,
Is this a jab at Supernatural? All right.
At least Supernatural was decent and actually has a following.
Yes, it does have a following. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, so I did a thing on our Instagram, and it was like, I asked everybody, is anybody still watching Flash who started? And I don't remember how many people voted, but like one person said they were still watching it, and it was one of my family members.
Oh my gosh.
So, all right. Ghostbusters, the one with Paul Rudd, is delayed to November 19th. This is really becoming a really shitty trend that everything.
This reminds me. Top Gun got delayed till Memorial Day, and which also pushed Mission Impossible 7 as well. So those all got delayed.
I think I stopped at Mission Impossible 2.
I haven't watched them in a while, but Top Gun I was actually looking forward to, and it got delayed again. So
What are you gonna do? So there's a live action Rick and Morty coming up, and they have just released pictures of Christopher Lloyd as Rick.
wait, that's
I've
a
never.
live act. That's real. I thought that was just them dressing up.
Oh, I thought it was real.
I think it might be from an episode. Like, I think, okay, I love Rick and Morty, first of all. And I saw this picture. It might be from an episode, not like a live action, like standalone thing. I think it's
Oh,
from
I
an
thought I
episode
read the
coming up.
article that they were doing a movie.
I'm
Okay,
surprised
well, more
Christopher
on that
Lloyd's still
later.
moving around, because when I saw him in 2016 at MegaCon, that dude could barely string two sentences together. It was rough to watch. He
It
seemed
says
like he was old and in rough shape.
it's a new Rick and Morty promo. A brief new promo for Adult Swim's Rick and Morty features Christopher Lloyd playing Rick Sanchez, scratching an itch that has persisted for many fans since the show's genesis as a Back to the Future spoof. It's a 14-second clip, and we see Lloyd hop out of a portal and into his garage alongside the kid from Knives Out and It, playing a pretty convincing Morty. Lloyd then does his best riff on Han Solo's famous line from Star Wars, The Force Awakens, with a signature Rick Sanchez belch added for good measure. Morty, we're home. Okay, I guess that's it. Well, glad someone's here fact checking. My last piece of news, which I hope is true, is we're getting a Reading Rainbow documentary, which I'm all for.
Oh, I remember that as a kid.
Reading Rainbow, just take a look. It's in a book. Well, yeah. So that's all I got. You got anything else before we dive into Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings?
No, that's it. That was all I got. And yeah, let's, for anybody still here, we're gonna spoil the hell out of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. So 3, 2, 1. Shang-Chi is the master of unarmed weaponry based kung fu, and he's forced to confront his past after being drawn into the Ten Rings organization. It stars Simu Liu as Shan, aka Shang-Chi, Aquafina as Katie, and she's also Sisu, just saying, and Raya in The Last Dragon. And then Tony Leung as his father, Wenwu, and I, honest to God, can't pronounce most of these names, but Menger Zhang as his sister Xiling. It has Michelle Yeoh as Ying Nan, his mom, Fala Chen as Lee, and Florian Montano as Razor Fist. And obviously Andy Lee as Death Dealer. You get a bunch of other characters. First things first, what do you got for us? Start us off.
So I just have some fun facts I can dive into real quick. So, and of course, I'm going to butcher the names as well. I will try. The Shang-Chi actress who played his sister, which you had just said her name. So she actually met her husband on set while making the movie. It was designer or action designer Young Lee. So they started dating as soon as the movie started up. And by the time they wrapped, they were married. And to celebrate Simu Liu, I need to phonetically write that down.
Guys, we apologize. Like, if you watch us, we are just two white people who cannot pronounce.
Yikes. Yeah, he took everybody to Disneyland as a surprise. And she thought that they were going hiking and she didn't want to get out of bed at 7 a.m. But he took them all to Disneyland to celebrate. And Aquafina took everyone to karaoke, and that's Katie. So that was pretty cool. And yeah, as soon as the movie started, I didn't know that she was the dragon from Raya, and it took me a good 5-10 minutes to like stop seeing the dragon every time she talked.
I
Her
know,
voice is so distinct. Yes,
it really is.
it's not even a like, where do I know that voice? Like, you know that voice immediately. She's got an awesome voice. It's just very, very distinct. Mm-hmm. So Shang Li, the sister, she did not actually know she was auditioning for Shang-Chi. So she auditioned in like a group for like just some sort of movie, and she didn't know what it was. And then when she saw the call sheet, she did, because Sean had already been cast. So it took them 4 weeks just to film the bus scene. But I got to say, that was the most awesome part of the movie. I loved that bus scene. So Razor Fist, they asked him what his actual backstory was, because they a lot of times they tell actors what their backstory is and they don't tell us, just so they know how to act. So Wenwu saw him juggling as a beggar when he was a kid and he only had one arm, and it inspired him, so he took him in and raised him.
Interesting.
Wenwu Tony is his real name, said that this was his actual first time working with an American team, but he said everybody was being nice.
Yeah, man, he
did.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that.
You can jump in and say whatever you want while I'm doing fun facts, but yeah, he was amazing. In Iron Man, the 10 rings logo is a circle of interconnected rings that encircles two crossed swords. And so it's a little bit different. It had a piece of Mongolian script in it. And that was what they used in Iron Man 3. But the logo attracted some controversy in real life. And the Mongolian government sent an official letter to Marvel Studios because they didn't want their country connected to a terrorist
Oh,
organization.
wow.
So it's actually a little bit different in Shang-Chi, and they swapped the Mongolian script for Chinese script, which makes more sense if with the comic book origin because it was
Yeah.
Chinese. So the guy who voiced Morris, who, if you're on the YouTube, I have the little toy here. So even though he didn't really talk, but Ben Kingsley could understand what he was saying. So he's got a bunch of voice things under his belt. He's done a guy in Clone Troopers. He's done Captain Rex and Commander Cody in the Clone Wars. He's Perry the Platypus in Phineas and Ferb. He's Daffy Duck. He's Tasmanian Devil in Space Jam. And he's Sebastian the Rat in Suicide Squad.
Wow.
So he's been around. Last, well, this is not a fun fact. This is a sad fact. If you saw at the end of the movie, it was dedicated to Brad Allen. I didn't know who that was. So apparently he just passed away in August. He was the supervising stunt coordinator. So he helped to choreograph a bunch of the action scenes. So clearly he is phenomenal at what he does or what he did. He's also did Wonder Woman. He's done many Jackie Chan movies. He's done Solo, Kingsman. So that was kind of sad, but it was nice of them because, he just passed to do a little nod. So those are my main fun facts. So why don't you just dive into how awesome this movie was?
So I'll be honest, like I went in thinking, oh, we're just gonna be another origin story, middle of the road, I was gonna enjoy it. Yeah. Oh God. I just thought I would enjoy it, but wow, this film blew me away. So right off the bat, they do a lot. They just dive into Wenwu's backstory, which you don't know that's his name at first, and it's really great. So he's just like destroying the earth, and then he gets into this he meets their mom because he's trying to Talao. Oh God, help me. Talo. Jesus hell. Yeah. So
we're gonna start writing things out phonetically in our notes. At least I'm going to.
I'm so sorry.
I hear it and I'm like, okay, and I say it right away. So then I think I'm good. And then I go to read it.
That's
and I was like,
exactly where I'm at. And then I blanked all of a sudden. So he goes because he heard of like the mystic of it. He's trying to take it over. Then they get into this really cool, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, old school love letter, Kung Fu style fight. But
gorgeous
it's just like fluid. Everything about it is so fluid and awesome to watch. And that's what happened. Like they fall in love. And so you kind of get a little bit of that. And then we dive forward. And obviously Shang-Chi, he changed his name to Sean, and him and Katie are valets, and they go, and it's so funny because I
knew that was going to happen too when that fancy car pulled up. I'm like, oh, he's a valet.
And like the stereotype of like, when are you guys getting married? Or like Katie's family being like, get a better job, things like that. I have like friends, my friend, he's first generation born Taiwanese. His family is from, and they would always do that. And even when we'd go over to his house, his mom would just make us all this food, and it felt like really family style cultured. And that's what that made me think of. It's like all the times I would go to my friend's house and there'd just be like food thrown out of us. And then it's also like, when are you getting married? When are you doing this? And then
there's so many cultures that are like that down your throat. Yeah.
But it was great because like they obviously like the Asian culture, everybody was kind of either worried about it, or even Simu Liu was like, there's a lot of hate towards Asian people. But this movie does such a great job of like diving into the culture and showing like the great aspects of the Asian culture. And I loved it. And they obviously all the fight scenes. So like the first big one is the bus. I didn't expect it to happen that fast.
I know, me neither.
What they do a great job of is they move the plot along. It's a 2-hour movie, but it doesn't feel like that to me because they move the plot along while also having enough time for the emotional intensities. So after he
connect to the characters.
Yeah. After he gets into the bus fight, which was fantastic. It kind of had that like Marvel Daredevil hallway scene feels, but Kung Fu, his Kung Fu was so fluid, and the fight scenes were just choreographed so beautifully. And he's fighting Razor Fist, and that one guy who has the vlog was like, I took some karate, so I'll go ahead and I'll rate their moves and things like that.
And he's from Spider-Man.
Yeah. And so that was great, amazing. And right afterwards, Katie was like, who are you? And so they get on the plane. And what I loved about Katie was they didn't have that whole, oh, you didn't tell me your story, you didn't tell me who you really were, and I'm gonna be mad
Right.
at
She
you for
was
no reason.
okay with it. Yes, I hate when they do
Yeah,
that.
they really were like, oh, this is why. And then he tells her his backstory, how he was raised after, like, to be a fighter and be a killer, and when he was 14 he was sent off to assassinate somebody who you don't know who it was at the time. And so I thought that was great.
And
One
that
of
was
my
in line with the comics. If you listened to our episode last week, he was sent to, yeah, and he didn't want to be an assassin for his dad in the
No,
comics.
and I will say one of the things that didn't make sense was she was like, I've known you for half your life, but the timelines, like he was born in like 96, which would make them very early 20s, and he didn't come to America till he was 14 and ran away.
Well,
So
what year is it though? Because it's the
it's
blip was
2023.
okay, it's 2023. Okay. I was thinking because the blip was 5 years and
Yes, from 2018, so it should be 2023, 2024.
yeah, they didn't specify exactly what year it was, but as soon as I saw 96 and he's made Mama, I almost wanted to look up the actor and be like, how old is this kid? Because is he really that young?
That was just my only complaint.
Yeah,
Not a
I
complaint.
was
That
doing
was my
math as
complaint.
well.
Like the
Yeah.
math didn't really match up to me, but it's such a
But I mean,
such
if
a
you're
petty thing.
almost 30, that is half your life.
That's
But
very
they
true.
used her for moving the plot line and filling us or moving the plot along and filling us in. So I did
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And I really loved, you said, they're friends and everybody's asking when they're going to get married. I love that there was never romantic chemistry between
Yeah,
the
they
two.
dropped it at that afterwards, you know?
Yes, it was a true just friendship. And I cannot stand when people say guys and girls cannot be friends. I feel like this
Exactly.
podcast is evidence
Well,
thereof.
yeah, no kidding. And it's just like you don't need that useless love storyline. Like
Right.
there was enough love between them as friends that she backed him up no matter where he went and no
I
matter
knew he had to
what.
have a good reason for not filling her in.
Right.
But Marvel does a good job of not overly focusing on love stories. And I truly
Agreed.
appreciate that.
Agreed. I will they then go after getting that postcard and they fly to go find his sister. And I thought it was hilarious how Wong, like, oh, I don't worry, I speak ABC. And they start talking, and it's like this underground fight club and stuff. And the
I talk ABC. That was great. What
2
is the guy?
million
Isn't that
hits.
guy from like Matt? What he's from something?
He
I'm
might
looking up.
be. They had 2 million hits on that bus. They call him Bus Boy. They're like, you don't
Yeah.
have a cool name. You're Bus Boy. You have 2 million hits. And I thought that was great. It was wicked funny. And also, so you see Wong fighting Abomination. Now, Abomination knocks himself out, and he looks way cooler now. He's obviously matured and done whatever. My
He looks like he's
question
from
is,
Waterworld now. He's got like gills. He's more like the comic book, I think.
yeah. So my question is were they, because Wong takes him, he's like, I told you to work on your punches, and he goes through a portal. Was it like a prison that he takes him out to?
Maybe the raft.
What's going on? Like, is it just Wong just trying to, because Wong is like a party animal. This dude is just out having fun all over the place.
So there is a scene in Agents of Shield, which took place in the first season before we had the raft, because we didn't see the raft until Civil War, and so they like Coulson threatened somebody at some point, like you're going to have to go guard Bolonsky or whatever. So it showed that he was in some sort of prison. But my guess would be the raft, and I did watch a video that more than one person speculates that it might have been the raft, and that maybe there's like some sort of deal of like, get off on good behavior or kind of thing. If you work for us and show rehabilitation, we'll let you off.
Oh yeah.
But it has been confirmed he's going to be in She-Hulk.
I was gonna say he's definitely gonna be a part of the Thunderbolts. We're getting the Thunderbolts at some point, so he's gonna be back.
Thunderbolts and lightning. Yeah.
Anyways, that was fun. And then Shang fights his sister and loses, of course, and that's when Death Dealer and everybody shows up, and they get captured and taken to
Razor
Wenwu.
Fist. Does anybody else want to say Razor Fist, like Razor Face?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking. So, anyways, you finally get to meet their dad, and he tells the whole story. I like how they tied. The only mention really was they had some guy pretend to be me because nobody knows my name, and the 10 rings have been around for 1,000 years, and we've kind of done our own thing.
But he's not the Mandarin. He is the Mandarin, but he's not the Mandarin. He makes fun of the name.
Yeah, he's like, they picked some stupid stage name with this buffoon, basically. That was like the
I'm
Mandarin.
a chicken dish.
He was like, my name is Wenwu. And what he does such a great job of is he actually makes sense. You kind of sympathize with him because all he wants, his whole motivation in this movie is to get his wife back, their mom. That's his whole motivation. He's hearing things. He doesn't realize, obviously, that it's the big bad guy that's hiding and trapped, that playing with their minds, because they know that the
Right.
10 rings can free them. But he does such a great job. Like, yeah, he's done a lot of bad things, but all he wants is he learned how to be good, and he found that good, and he put the rings away when he met their
And then
mom.
got punished for it.
And then it turns to find out that there's the Iron Gang that showed up one night while he was gone, and there was too many. They killed the mom, and Shang watched from a young age. And at that point, he was like, "I'm just nothing but a killer," basically. Their dad, anyways. And so that's kind of his motivations. And he's like, "I just want her back. I just want her back." And it was really nice. But they basically are like, "No, fuck that, dad. She's dead." And so he
Right.
throws them down in the dungeon, where you hear like this loud laughter and stuff going on, or whatever was going on. And it turns out that in the basement, Trevor, Ben Kingsley, is in the basement dressed like Hamlet, because he was in that prison and the 10 rings broke him out to kill him, but then he broke into monologue and they loved it. So he performs weekly for this gang. It's just like the most
Which is
ridiculous thing, which
what
is why I'm
Katie did with
drinking.
her.
Yes. And that's why I'm drinking Jester King, because it was just too funny. It was hilarious. Trevor shows back up, and it's just like, this guy is just such an idiot. He's telling a story at one point of how he wanted to become an actor. He watched Planet of the Apes, and he didn't understand that there were people in the ape costumes. He's like, the apes were riding horses. Absolutely phenomenal.
How did they train those apes? I still
I
can't
know.
understand it. But you see, like, he started doing the monologue or whatever, and it was similar to Katie singing Hotel California,
Oh
which,
yeah.
she does in a story, and then she does it again in the
Well, it's to
bamboo
distract them. The art of
boost.
confusion.
Yeah, the art of confusion. I love it. Hey, it worked.
It did. It did. So it was great. And they they meet Morris, who's like a
So
mystical pig.
there's actually a lot of Chinese mythology when they go to God damn it, now I can't say it. Lindlu. Motherfucker. By the time we are more used to these
Oh my god, we've been
these
turned
names and
off.
everything,
Nobody's listening to this episode
in like
anymore.
10 years we're going to be experts on these names because we'll be so used to it.
Exactly.
It's like Hemdale, and like there are certain things I could never remember. Hemdale was one years ago. Obviously, I can remember that one now. But or Mjolnir. I used to always butcher
Oh my
Mjolnir
god,
before I knew
yeah.
that what that was called. Meow meow. So all those animals are actually Chinese mythology, which I thought was really cool. So you see that in the comic books as well. And like those big, like lion looking things, like if you go to any kind of like Chinatown or even at Epcot in China, they have those statues all over the place. So, I'm going to be taking pictures at Epcot soon with those big old statues, because now they're Marvel statues to me. So that was pretty cool, because like, we get a taste of Norse mythology, but it's like Norse mythology is more just like, oh yeah, that was
As
Asgardians.
guardians of the galaxy.
Asgardians that just came to Earth, hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago, and people thought that they, worshiped them as deities, and that's all it is. And it was kind of blown off, and everything's in Asgard. But here, it's like this is a place that's on Earth. It may be a portal to somewhere else, but they really tied in actual Chinese mythology and weren't just like, oh, they're just from Asgard. The end. So I thought that was really cool, because it was, a nice nod to this country's culture as well. And of course, you got the dragons. And dude, Shang-Chi straight up Khaleesi'd that bitch. I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
was straight out of Game of Thrones right there.
Only better, because this ends way better than Game of Thrones could ever pretend to.
Yes. Oh, and this way they suck the souls made me think of Supernatural.
Yeah. Well, the gang and Morris go to Talo, because Morris is like,
Talo.
they see a map, and his dad figures out how to get to the village that he thinks they're holding his mom in. So they beat him to the punch, and they steal Razor Fist's car. It's so ridiculous, because he's got like this Subaru or whatever. It has Razor Fist up the side.
That's a
and
Beamer.
Everything. Oh, that's what it was. It's got like, they had to showcase Katie's driving skills, of course, because you kind of, you see a little bit about that when they take the man's car when they're valets. So they're driving through the forest, and they get to the village. And honestly, the village, like, beautiful. Like, the colors were popping there at that point. And he's like, stay in the pocket, stay in the pocket. And like I said, the colors are amazing. So amazing in the village. And that's where they meet their aunt for the first time. And Katie learns how to become an expert bow and arrows person in like 2 days. And Trevor finally
She even
finds
makes
a
that
home.
joke though. Like at least they made, because there were some parts in that scene that were very predictable. Like you knew she was going to shoot the arrow. You knew she was going to save the day.
Well, I think what they did a great job of in this whole movie was they introduced a lot of different characters.
Mm-hmm.
So Trevor had something to do. Sure, he was a minor part, but Trevor had something to do. He got them there. His sister, she played a pretty big part. At one point, she hops on the dragon, helps him out, and she's fighting. Everybody kind of gets them to team up and work together. And then even Katie has something to do. Like these side characters weren't just side characters there for the sake of having side characters. They actually served a purpose and they each had their own time to shine. And I really, really love that because yes, the whole focus is on Shang-Chi. And again, his whole thing is I'm going to beat my dad. I'm going to beat that motherfucker because he treated me, the way he did to us. Because his sister's mad at him because Shang left for this mission, said I'd be back in 3 days. Well, he ran away and never came back. And so she learned how to fight by watching them fight. And so that's like she also was the one who created that organization, the Fight Club. But she's
not supposed to talk about it though.
We aren't. And so she's an expert fighter as well. And it's great. You find out that obviously it's a trick being played on Wenwu, that the soul suckers are they want to release, and the big demon behind the wall there. And so the next day or 2 days later, whatever the hell it is, Wenwu obviously gets in, shows up, and then the fighting happens. It goes down. And they gave everybody again ample screen time. Like everything from the aunt teaching Shang-Chi how to fight to rolling into her. I thought for sure she was going to die. Like once the whole big fight went down, luckily she didn't. Unfortunately, my man's, what's his name?
The wise looking old dude.
Guangbo, Master Guang. He gets killed, but he's the one who taught Katie how to shoot the bow and arrow. And I thought he was kind of a funny addition as well. At one point, Trevor's playing dead, and Morris walks up, and he's so sad.
He's faking it,
and he's like, "Shush, it's a performance. I'm pretending to be dead. You do the same." And so he does. Morris flops down and does the same.
And he does like the possum upside down thing. But I mean, how many times have you seen that where like somebody's struggling and then they like come and finish him off? Yeah, pretend exactly. That's what I'm gonna do if I ever end up in a situation like that. But I loved though when Wenwu called the old wise looking dude boy or he called him young man.
So I guess what this translates to, like the actual Chinese, because what they do another great job of is they speak Chinese throughout the film, and that makes it feel more authentic. I feel like, because how many times are people supposed to be Russian but they're speaking fucking English, right?
Yeah. And they even say like, "Are you practicing your?"
Yeah, and Katie straight up was like, "I can't speak Mandarin or anything," and that was a cool addition. And so I guess what the Chinese translation is I've like licked enough salt on this earth for something. It was like it was the way it translates was a better burn. I'd have to look up on Reddit again where I read it, but yeah, he was like, "I've lived enough lifetimes in 1,000 years for you. Like, don't talk back to me," basically. And I was like, "Damn."
I love that.
Forget he's around forever.
True. But you think about that in so many movies. It's like, with Thor, like he's so much older. Like Captain America, maybe technically his body's older than Iron Man, but he's younger than Iron Man. He's actually lived less years. So somebody like Wolverine, Wolverine's older than Xavier, and Thor's older than all of them. And like you forget stuff like that. And I love that he called him out. I really loved the Wenwu character so much, especially
he was probably the best part of the movie.
Yeah. That was beautiful casting. And I loved seeing him because in the preview, you see him with the long hair and you're thinking like cliche, old school, Mandarin Chinese warrior. And then he comes out and he's adapted.
Yeah.
Right.
He's looking fly in his suit and the fresh cut.
Yes.
Like, he looks good.
But he's adapted to society. He changes when he needs to change and he knows how to play the game. And you see him throughout the years. Then they say he was responsible for like the fall of like Napoleon or some shit. Like they were showing random things.
They show and they're over there killing everybody, and like they altered history and things like that.
Yeah, but how much did he really have to do with Iron Man's kidnapping? Because I still feel like there's holes in that
really
story.
Did. I feel like, anyways.
Like, did he order his organization to do that? Because was that right when he was back to being a bad guy, or was that before his wife died?
It might have been.
So, because that was 2008. So his wife might have still been alive. So he might have not ordered.
My bad. I muted you. I meant to mute myself. Anyways, yeah, I think this whole final fight sequence was great because they showcased the 10 rings, and then like Shang-Chi beats his dad down and he basically talks shit like mom would be mad at you, right? Like she'd be disgusted with you. And then he launches his ass into the lake, goes and unleashes the soul suckers. And then one of the things obviously was funny was they stopped fighting and they were like, we need to work together. And Razor Fist is like, hell no. And then somebody gets their soul sucked out and he's like, all right,
The guy with the
we'll work
scary
together.
mask did.
Oh,
Yeah.
Death Dealer. That's right. Death Dealer did. And then you're like, all right, we'll work together. We got to work together now. And I thought for sure Razor Fist was going to be like a throwaway character that dies really fast, but I was wrong. He survives. And like, he actually played a bigger role than I expected in this movie. Not that he had this major role or anything, but that was funny. And then Shang finds the dragon, flies up, starts like beating everybody's ass. And then this really great fight sequence between him and his dad take place. And he's basically Luke Skywalker because he turns his dad from the dark side there at the end after they unleash the big boss. And he's his dad's getting his soul sucked out, and you can see like the emotions on his face. Like that acting sequence was perfect. And the rings at that point had split up 5 and 5. Like 5 went to Shang, 5 were in Wenwu's arms, and so they were fighting a little bit. Shang-Chi like uses the rings as stairs to like deliver a kick at one point, which is fucking dope.
Yeah, they did a good job with the
They
rings.
really did. The way they're the rings, the powers. And then obviously his father dies, gets his soul sucked out. And then you're like, shit. That's when Sean puts up the rings and they go to work. His sister has the dragon and they're fighting. His dragon's getting its soul sucked out, which if that happens, then obviously the soul sucker game over. And then Katie saves the day by shooting an arrow through its throat. And then they just beat the hell out of it and then finally destroy this. And everything's good. It's saved. Woohoo. Katie saves the day. And then I thought at the end of the movie was funny how they're back to having dinner with their friends who told them that they need to grow up, and they're telling the story of what happened. And they're like, you're just making fun of me. Like, why are you just making fun of me? And then that's when Wong uses his sling ring and he's like, Shang-Chi, do you have the 10 rings? Come with me. And you're like, what? And that's kind of how the movie actually ends.
But I feel like they did a good job there moving it forward and having them make fun of themselves and calling out the things like that. Like, and I just learned to shoot a bow and arrow. They were very nice on multiple levels. Yeah.
They did enough with the emotional intensity of the movie that they hit the intent, like the emotional points, but they didn't linger on them for too long. It felt very like organic. Oh man, like you felt the intensity of it, and then we move on. Like they said, the movie moves really well and it flows very well. And so we have our first post-credit scene, which it has Katie and Shang talking to Wong in the sanctum. But you have
Captain Marvel doesn't have a Karen haircut anymore.
Hold on.
Yay.
First of all, I just want to point out that Captain Marvel is so fucking annoying. She literally, her whole character literally just shows up for 30 seconds at a time. And then all of a sudden she's like, I gotta go, bye, and disappears. That's her whole character. In Endgame, she shows up for 30 seconds, fights, and then she disappears. And then even in the beginning of the movie, she shows up and she's like, I got this going on, gotta go. Every time she's there, she just 30 seconds and she's like, I'm out.
My theory on that, and I could be wrong, is I think she's going to be a big character in phase 4. And so outside of her movie, I feel like they just wanted to sprinkle in some of these new characters so we start to get attached to new people as they pull our phase 1 characters away.
I've never liked Captain Marvel.
I honestly don't love her. She is, I think, my least favorite casting of all of the main heroes in all of the MCU, which sucks because I wanted a badass.
Oh, I wanted it
girl,
too. Don't get me wrong. This isn't me just shitting because she's a woman. Like I wanted to love it.
I understand. Yeah.
It's like it's almost like a Superman issue though, where at least Superman, they do a great job of making him human. But with Captain Marvel, like,
and she is human. It's like she's forgotten she was human.
she's just like
But at
too
least she doesn't
overpowered.
have the Karen haircut. But I did hear a
That's true.
theory that they think she had that terrible haircut because maybe she shaved her head when her friend was dying, Monica's mom.
Oh, I did see that. That's right. I mean, that's a good theory, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
And so I'm going to pretend that that's accurate. And she didn't, because she cannot pull off that haircut. It's terrible on her. Some people can. She cannot.
I just don't like her.
Okay, so let's talk about Hulk. So why do you think he's obviously
so
his
we
arm's
obviously
still in
have
the
Bruce
sling from the
Banner's
snap,
there. Bruce Banner's there, yes.
but not Professor Hulk?
He looks old.
Well, he is old.
Oh, that's true. So yeah, Bruce is Bruce again.
He's no Paul Rudd.
All right, this is again another major issue that I have with the MCU is they don't know how to write Hulk, because you see everything that happens with him off screen. Like you don't get that proper character development. Like he goes and he develops into Professor Hulk, and now he's back to human Hulk.
Sony's fault.
Universal. But
sorry.
I mean, I agree. You can't really do a solo Hulk film. They don't know how to write Hulk. That's the problem.
I liked Edward Norton.
And I love that movie. That's a top 10 Marvel film. And so, yeah, he's in his sling, but he's back to human. So the theory that I've read is that he like gives blood to his cousin
She-Hulk,
who becomes She-Hulk. And that's why she's like full-fledged sentences, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's why he's back to human form. And now he's regrowing the gamma cells, which is why he'll go back to like not smart Hulk.
Okay, see, I had read that the snap sucked the gamma or drained the gamma out of him, and that's his cousin She-Hulk needed the blood, so he donated the blood thinking he was free from gamma, and then obviously he wasn't fully free from gamma.
I mean, either one, I'm cool with.
We'll find out.
I guess we're gonna find out eventually.
Yeah, I'd love to hear anybody else's theories.
I would love to hear some theories, and so yeah, they kind of show up and like, hey, your life's gonna be crazy now. Buckle up, buddy. This is just how it's gonna be now. And because the 10 rings they're emitting a signal like a beacon. Mm-hmm. We don't know to whom, to what they are. That's some sort of cosmic power.
And that's what they're trying to figure out, if they're alien technology.
Yeah.
But each ring like represents like a different warrior, like the soul of a warrior or something. So
well, I guess we'll
find out.
We
could do a whole episode just on the rings, maybe in the future. Easily. But so I want to know, where the frick is Liv Tyler? Like,
yeah, where is Betty? Bueller? They don't they don't even like reference her at all.
Outside of What If, that was like the only time we've seen her or heard about her since.
Like I get it. Yeah, there's the different like studios, but even Sony gives MJ to Spider-Man, but we don't get any. we get General Ross, but he doesn't even mention his daughter.
Right, and General Ross is a big character throughout the entire MCU, from the first movie to the last movie.
Where is Liv Tyler's Betty Ross been hanging out at? What's going on with her? I need to know this.
Seriously. Poor Liv Tyler.
Maybe we'll find out. And then the last...
Oh, they did play her dad's song in this. I don't want to close my eyes. Maybe that was a jab at her.
I forgot to mention that Wong and Katie and Shang, they go and do some karaoke. Again, Wong is a party animal. I want to go out with Wong one night. I probably couldn't hang, but that man is everywhere. He's living his best life.
I mean, he's gambling,
fights, karaoke. The man is everywhere.
I do like that. We should get some sleep. And
then they're singing and doing karaoke, which is a reference to an earlier scene in the movie where they go out and do karaoke till 4 a.m. and pass out in the club.
Yes.
The last post-credit scene is his sister who's supposed to be dismantling the 10 Rings organization. Well, just kidding. She's building it back up, and there's women fighting, there's men fighting. And
do you think they were all wearing masks because of that was the plan, or do you think it was because of COVID?
Probably both. I don't know.
They all had on masks, and I honestly, anytime I see that in the movie,
I didn't notice that. Now I honestly didn't notice that.
Every single one of them, I think, maybe like one didn't, but they all had on masks. And I'm like, were these extras? And
interesting.
COVID was getting bad, so they're like, we're just going to do this fight scene in masks. That's what I think now when I watch new stuff.
I do too. Where I'm like, why aren't they wearing masks in this crowd? Oh my God. Which, by the way, yesterday I was watching college football in these massive crowds. Nobody has a mask on. And I was like, am I taking crazy pills, or should we still be taking precautions? Because I think everybody's still dying. I don't know. This isn't that kind of podcast. So yeah, we don't know if she's going to be a good guy, a bad guy, or what, but the 10 Rings will return, they said. And
yeah. Were you happy with that final scene though? I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I didn't hate it. It was just like, hey, the Ten Rings will return. Here you go.
I wanted to see something else. I wanted to see, I
Well,
think
they
I
already
just
gave
like,
us something else with
no, I wanted to see, I don't know, something I was going to get really excited
something
about that I wasn't
amazing to happen, I
expecting.
guess.
Yes, I did. I wanted to see Wolverine show up. No, I always want to see Wolverine show up. But I guess I was hoping for some more connection to the other characters we know and
That's
not
fair.
just her becoming evil.
Well,
Cause I
that's
feel like,
okay. Time out though. The first post credit scene sets him up with the Avengers. The second post
yeah,
credit
I like
scene
that one.
sets him up for Shang-Chi too.
I wanted more. I need more always. It's never enough. They've
I'm
spoiled us.
sorry,
It's never enough
Josh. I'm
now.
sorry. She always wants more.
He knows.
I give this movie though, honest to God, this movie rating for me is a 9 out of 10. I think this is in my top 5 Marvel films out of all the Marvel films. I did not expect to love it. The callbacks to classic kung fu style movies, the fight sequences, the characters, everything was to love there, and it's in my top 5. I have to sit there and really play with my rankings again,
Yeah,
but
that's what I was thinking.
I think I need to see it one more time as well before I really make my rankings again. So maybe I'll do that. But I saw it in 40X. By the way, that's my first 40X experience. Holy shit. It was like a roller coaster.
Yeah,
Literally.
it really is.
I
It's like
was not
Star
prepared to
Tours.
like be getting hit in the head, like all this stuff. You're just like flying around in the seat. And I was like, oh my God, thank God I had
Yeah.
like a can of beer and popcorn that I ate down because that shit would have been everywhere.
No, I had an open beer, and now you know why I had a huge
Yeah.
splash of beer on my
40X
lap.
is fun for certain times. Only I don't know if I'd go to a 40X every single time, but I it's a 9 out of 10 in my top 5. What do you give it?
I will give it a 9 out of 10. I would say it's in my top 10, but like you just said, I would need to reevaluate my rankings because that's a really hard one once you start laying them all on paper.
It is, but it's always going to change. It's very fluid.
Yes, but I know Endgame's my one and Iron Man 2 is my last. What are we on? Was this the 25th movie?
Oh God, I have no idea. That's what I have you for.
So maybe you have homework. We both have homework. We're going
We
to
have some homework.
rank them. That's
I
what we
do.
have you
We'll
for.
talk about our
Okay.
ranking. We'll talk about our rankings probably in the next episode. We'll definitely have to deliver some rankings.
Well, the next episode is going to be a little.
Well, yeah. So next episode is our Batman episode. We are going to be talking about the origins, diving really deep because last year our Batman episode never came out because our audio got corrupted. And this year we dove in really, really deep behind Batman. We get into his origins, what to read, what to watch, all that good stuff.
Movie fun facts.
Movie fun facts. Absolutely. Be sure to check that out. And in the meantime, like I said, check us out on all of our socials, follow us on TikTok, things of that nature, and let us know what you guys thought of this movie. Very interested to hear what everybody else kind of feels, if they feel the same way, if they don't. I've seen the audience score was at like 99% last I saw. So
I thought it was great. Honestly, there was one point in the movie where I was like, I can't wait to talk about this on Hops Geek.
Oh, I was very much like the whole time I was like, man, I really can't wait to watch this film. And it's IMDb ratings 8.1 out of 10. So that kind of lines up. And yeah, dude, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I can't say enough how much I loved it. Can't wait to hear what you all think. Next time, like I said, we're talking Batman. Follow us, like, subscribe, share, help us grow. And we appreciate all of you guys. So until next time, cheers, everybody.
This has been a Hops News production. You can find Hops News on all your favorite podcasts and social media platforms at Hops News. Cheers.